Hey guys, what's going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming with another episode in my series aimed at covering peripherals and quality of life products coming out for the VR scene. My hope is to bring you honest and detailed information along with my first-hand impressions to not only inform you of interesting VR related products across all VR platforms, but most importantly, to let you know if it's worth picking up. Let's get into it. Hey my fellow friend sets, it's Chris from Shughead Gaming, and today I'm putting the Cybershoes through their paces. And while these have been around for a while on the PCVR, I am going to review specifically the new version of the shoes, which still supports PCVR titles, but now also goes completely wireless to support standalone Quest titles, no PC required. So if you're listening to this and wondering what the hell are Cybershoes, well, I'll tell you. Simply put, Cybershoes are a VR peripheral that you strap on your feet like a pair of snowboard bindings, and while seated, allow you to feel like you're actually walking in the game. So if you're watching this and looking for a way to play standing, this isn't going to be what you're looking for. And now, as a gamer that grew up playing console games while lounging on a couch, I am inherently a lazy gamer and will almost always play my VR games seated if the game allows it. As such, Cybershoes looked right up my alley, and for a fraction of the cost of what a VR treadmill will set you back these days. Jumping in here and taking a look at the fit, function, and build quality of the shoes themselves, I gotta say I was really impressed, as my initial impressions were that these were extremely well built, obviously being designed to hold up to a fair amount of abuse, as they likely will be being strapped to your feet. Built from a heavy, strong plastic, the shoes themselves are simple in design, with a single roller on the underside used to translate forward and backward movement. The roller itself is made of metal and appears to be mounted by a fairly heavy-duty axle system. I do have some concerns though about the wheel getting jammed up with carpet debris or threads, as it doesn't appear to be accessible for cleaning. Admittedly though, the space between the roller and the shoes seems very tight, but I'm sure we all know what happens when the vacuum roller grabs something up. That being said, I've yet to run into any issues during my testing of the shoes, as I am ensuring to keep my play space clean, as well as only using a short threaded mat in order to reduce any chance of tangled threads. Rounding out the quality build is the shoe's strapping mechanism that feels ripped right off a snowboard and bolts to the shoes by metal parts. These straps are, if anything, overbuilt for their purpose and seem more than up to the task for keeping your feet strapped in for years of use, and feel tough enough to take quite a bit of abuse. A single ratchet and release mechanism makes for an easy on-off process and simply grips the top of the foot comfortably, pulling it into the heel of the shoe. Now, these claim to be a one-size-fits-all, but I will caution that they have their limitations. I have small ass feet and wear a men's size 8 sneaker, which as you can see is about the exact length of the Cybershoe. As such, longer feet are certain to hang over the edge. Honestly though, this isn't likely to be an issue for most, but for those with massive feet, you might find this starts to put the roller way back on the desired ball of your foot to a place further back, hence making the shoes much less intuitive feeling. However, it is for those with smaller feet that should be the most cautious, as even with the straps at their smallest setting on both adjustment points, I absolutely had to put on runners in order to get the Cybershoes to fit snug on my feet. My point being, if you have feet similar to mine or smaller, you won't be strapping these on without your shoes, and for kids, these simply may not fit. Outside of the shoes, the only other piece is a small white transmitter that communicates to the shoes via Bluetooth to either the Quest or PC, and is powered off the USB-C port that it plugs into, keeping it wireless for use with the Quest. The transmitter, when being used with the Quest standalone, is affixed to the front of the headset by way of the included double-sided Velcro. Not the most aesthetically pleasing setup to be sure, but functionally works just fine, as the transmitter weighs barely anything. Now, it should be noted that you used to be able to buy the shoes and transmitter just on their own, with an optional deluxe version that came with a Cybershoes branded swivel chair and a circular shaped rug ideal for usage with the shoes. That option is now gone, and the only option on the site is the deluxe version listed at $349 US. As such, let's talk quickly about the chair and rug. The swivel chair with these shoes is an absolute must, as you need to be able to turn in a 360-degree motion while also being able to place your feet on the ground. Build quality on the chair, I would say, is above average. That being said, this is actually a very comfortable little chair, and I appreciated the short back on the chair. At 5 foot 8 inches tall, I'm certainly not a large guy, and at the chair's lowest setting, I can just lay my feet flat. Now, of course, the shoes give you a bit of a lift, but keep that in mind if you are short or looking at this for those younger in years. The carpet, with a diameter of approximately 5 feet, is actually really well made and has a nice weight to it, and with its short and dense fibers, it really is the perfect surface for the shoes. Now, getting set up and running is fairly simple. Kinda, sort of. The good thing is, all the headsets work. However, support is varied depending on your headset, so make sure you look at the chart that's on their website. The simplest to set up was easily the Quest standalone, plugging in the transmitter to the Quest's USB-C port and turning on the shoes. Next step is pairing the Quest itself with the shoes, and is done in the Quest's Bluetooth settings found under the experimental section of the headset settings. Once paired, it's as simple as jumping into a supported Quest title, and you should literally be off and running. For PCVR titles, the transmitter device is removed from the headset and then just plugged into a USB-C port on your computer and paired with the shoes the same way as before. However, for compatibility with most titles, you will need to download the Oculus app as well as Steam VR and the Steam VR Cybershoes app in order to use your shoes with games from each library. And for those wanting to access specifically Oculus exclusive titles, you're also going to need Revive in order to get to those. Now, once all of this has been installed, you shouldn't have to launch the Cybershoes app separately, and any supported titles should just recognize the shoes. But this is PC gaming, so you know. Now, providing everything does work, additional calibration settings and bindings can be accessed from the Steam VR and Oculus menus while in game. So if you say want to turn off the left analog stick functionality, you can. Now, like I said, not that confusing really, but it did take me a bit of trial and error to get there. That being said, at the time of actually writing this review, the website does seem to have improved the instruction process, but it's not quite there yet. Okay, now let's talk about how they actually work by jumping into a handful of games, as that is the key difference in this version of the shoes. Selection of titles as of the time of this review is on the low side of things, as such I only had a few titles to jump into. First up was The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, and coincidentally, the first game I ever tried with the shoes. And I gotta say, not a fan at all. And this has nothing to do with the shoes or any preference around standing or sitting. It was the game and the way the shoes were implemented. Like I mentioned, the transmitter for the shoes has a speed dial on it, which controls how much effort in the real world is required to walk or run in the game. Walking slowly around Saints and Sinners was fine, but regardless of how high I set the transmitter, I had to straight up Sonic the Hedgehog it to get my character to jog, the game's fastest moving speed, and it felt completely ridiculous and unimmersive, never mind kicking my ass after just a few blocks. Not impressed, I jumped into one of my favorite Quest games, Journey of the Gods, and I can tell you the experience was night and day, with walking around feeling quick, responsive, and well, fun. In Death, another one of my personal favorites, was next, and while the game is slow in nature, the slow strut of the game actually translated well into the shoes. One of the nice things about the shoes is the ability to walk backwards by basically backpedaling with your feet, a feature that came in very handy here as I was often avoiding incoming arrows, and it was nice to just have my hands doing hand stuff and leaving the foot stuff to my feet. Weird, eh? That being said, changing from forward to back movement isn't perfect, as the roller on the shoes will keep rolling until stopped, meaning I found myself having to learn to get my feet down quicker in order to stop any residual motion in the roller while I kicked in the opposite direction. Other titles like Arizona Sunshine, Mist, and Doom 3 over on SideQuest all performed as you would expect, with Arizona Sunshine allowing me to take advantage of the jumping ability, accomplished by quickly kicking both feet in opposite directions. Does it work? Yeah. Did I like it? Not really, as I felt it was just awkward and it didn't really feel like jumping. Finally, I tried the Wizard's Dark Times, the sequel to the first Wizards title, which I reviewed on the PSVR with the 3D rudder, another seated locomotion option. And likewise to that review, the ability to have locomotion tied to your feet in the Wizards is a wonderful VR experience, as it just frees up your hands to simply conjure and release magic spells, something that you do a lot of in that game. Unfortunately, with a few less noteworthy exceptions, that is the bulk of the game support for the Quest at this time. So, off I went to my PC game collection, where Cybershoes support is simply not an issue, for if you can walk in the game, chances are you can use your shoes to do it. Hell, jumping into Hellsplit Arena, which consequently worked really good with the shoes, had me up on a frickin' horse galloping across the battlefield with my own feet, which felt equal parts incredible and totally bizarre. Of course, you knew I had to try Half-Life Alyx first, and yeah, the shoes worked great here and benefited nicely from the game's slower walking speed, meaning the correlation between my real foot speed and the in-game walking speed felt pretty in sync, something that can't be said for all the games that I tried. Social games like VR Chat and Rec Room also felt similarly on point, which I was happy to see, as I think the shoes really lend themselves well to just walking around worlds and socializing, helping to add that little extra bit of immersion. Game after game, I tested the shoes, and while the results did vary on how the game implemented the shoes, I came away mostly impressed with how solid most of the shoes support was, with the shoes often just working when I started the game. No Man's Sky, Skyrim, and Boneworks, all games with a lot of walking in them, stand as 3 real standout titles for the shoes, providing you have the stamina, that is. With Boneworks probably being my personal favorite, as it actually made the game more fun, even if the shoes did make some aspects a little clunky at times. And yeah, my impression of the shoes here is that they worked well and offered a unique option for in-game locomotion, and that would have been my final takeaway, until I was invited into the Cybershoes Contractors Tournament. Here, my view of the shoes took on a whole different perspective, as I found myself in a situation where I actually had to worry about my own stamina. And over the course of the 90-minute 3-match tournament, yeah, my fat ass was working hard, with every run across the playing field and rush on a point not only being dictated by if it was a good play, but if I had enough left in the tank. Now, I definitely can say that players using Cybershoes will not get any kind of competitive advantage, as it is often quite the opposite, as you do move a little slower and a little clunkier due to your sitting position. But I tell you, the immersion factor was there in a way I simply never expected it to be. And that brings me to my final review. Every thumbnail you will see on every content creator that has reviewed these before will say something along the lines of "walk for real in VR," which to me always seemed like a bit of a bullshit clickbait statement, as I don't know about you guys, but I don't sit down to walk or run in real life. However, omnidirectional treadmills cost more than a PC and simply aren't feasible for most in either space or cost. In addition, and maybe most importantly, while I found using the shoes to be fun, unique, and an immersive experience, I never once forgot that I was sitting down and playing a game. Okay, that's a lie. During that Cybershoes tournament, I got pretty damn immersed. Look, the quality on these shoes are outstanding, and despite a few poorly implemented exceptions, they work as advertised. The way I see it, it comes down to a few simple questions. Do you often play games with full locomotion standing? If the answer is yes, I don't know if this is going to be the solution for you, as you will likely feel handcuffed by having to sit and play, though it should be noted that the swivel chair does help with that aspect due to the ability to turn freely. The other big question is, if you play seated, are you a lazy gamer? I am, and I freely admit it, as I work long days and simply want to sit back and relax with my games. As such, I will honestly use the shoes selectively depending on the game and my energy level. However, energy levels and your own fitness is where I think Cybershoes are at their best, as I simply do not think that people talk enough about the sheer fitness aspect that the shoes bring to VR. Now, never mind Fit XR, Beat Saber, or Supernatural, Cybershoes opens up a whole new set of game options for people looking to get fit while playing VR. Jump into a few matches of Pavlov or Population 1, hell, run across the entire Skyrim map, and I guarantee you will be feeling the burn in your legs. In fact, using the Cybershoes showed me just how out of shape I was, both cardio and leg muscle wise, something which have both improved through my testing of the product. So the final question becomes, what type of gamer are you? And if this sounds like something you would like, how much are you willing to pay for them? For $349 US, they are going to set you back more than buying a Quest 2. But ultimately, I don't think I can answer that for you. However, if you're looking at this as just a standalone Quest user, I would strongly advise that you sit back and wait and see how the game support grows here, as unlike on the PC side of things, which runs on just about everything you would want to play, support on the Quest is dependent on developers implementing it into their titles. 3D Rudder owners over on the PCVR know all too well how this feels, as big game after big game failed to support the device and ultimately resulted in the company abandoning it entirely. Now, I'm not saying that that'll happen here with Cybershoes, as this is a much more established company, but with Star Wars, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, Warhammer Battle Sister, Jurassic Park Aftermath, Lies Beneath, Cosmodread, Contractors, Onward, and Population 1, just to name a few, all missing in action, I would need to see more consistent support before I would pick up a pair. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for stopping by and supporting the channel. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more VR content from me, please consider subscribing, guys. As always, I will catch you on my next video.